Welcome to Moss Marketing Mondays, aka the M3 Podcast. Brought to you by Moss Marketing Group, bringing you everything marketing every Monday. Stay tuned for marketing tips and tricks you can use today. The M3 Podcast, marketing knowledge to help you succeed. Let's get started.
Welcome back to the M3 Podcast, brought to you by Moss Marketing Group. Today, our guest is Anna Alessi with Dre and a new star, Lauren Hughes. Welcome, Anna, to the M3 Podcast. And Lauren, welcome. Dre, you're back again.
Third time.
Anna owns Cycle of Heart here in Liberty, and we brought her on today kind of to see her views on her success in Cycle of Heart, what she has done marketing and everything else, and kind of your story of what has brought you here today.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here. So
let's start off with
do it.
Your story of kind of an introduction for everybody to see what led you to Cycle of Heart.
Okay.
And what you come from the corporate world, and it led you to Cycle of Heart. And I think Cycle of Heart is so much bigger than what most people think of just a spin studio. And what does that story look like kind of from the beginning?
Well, from the beginning is kind of a girl with a dream. And I just never really let myself believe that I could fully do it. I was 18 and I fell in love with fitness, but I let shame, I let saying I didn't have a six pack, I let saying, I wasn't this perfect image of fitness. And so no one would come. And also at that, young age of 18, I found myself in a gym feeling awkward and intimidated and doing the comparison game. And that cycle happened for a really long time in my life. And I just kept having this reoccurring dream, like I want to do something in the fitness world. And it didn't matter if I was in an aerobics class or at a gym or running 5Ks or half marathons. I still just had this like yearning to do something. And I had my daughter, and I remember putting her to bed, and she was probably just 4 months old. And I remember just kind of like praying over her and like what I want her life to look like. And I want it to be big and bold, and I want her to be courageous and like not scared and not fearful. And I remember speaking these things over her and shutting the door to her nursery and boohoo crying. I just felt like such a fraud because I had not, dove into this dream that I had. So Cycle of Heart is really my heart. It's me finding my own way. It's me believing in myself. It's me realizing that I need that mind, body, soul connection every single day, and that I need to have service in my life. So that's our logo. It really stands for those three pillars. So that's how the dream started. And we started out as just a little indoor cycling spin studio with a little clothing boutique up front. And my goodness, the universe really had a whole other plan for us. So we opened in October 2019, and 5 short months later, we closed due to a pandemic. So we really had to step forward with faith and excitement and creativity. And now we have this fun lifestyle brand. And now we're a fitness community where we do so much more than just indoor cycling.
That's a big opening to the podcast. Big opening there. It's been crazy watching how fast Cycle of Heart has grown and how much traction. And I don't think one can really understand the excitement without being there.
Sure, absolutely.
And I know Lauren's been there, Dre's been there. When you go in, there's just a different energy level of being there. And I think a lot of times people discount what that brings to a business.
Sure.
That when every single person walks in there, they remember when they went to Cycle Heart. They remember those things. And I think as a female-owned business and as females going in there, not something I can speak on behalf of, but when you guys are there, like, what is that something, how does that look different, Lauren, to you than most places that you go for fitness?
It's like unreal, the atmosphere when you walk into Cycle Heart. So when I first did my first spin class, I had never done a spin class before. I was very turned off by the fact of like riding a bike. I was like, I really don't want to do this. But Anna was like, just come do it. It's fun. The way she described it was, she was like, it's like we're at a rave party and like we just dance and the lights are off and you have a great time minus the hangover from the alcohol. And I was like, oh, well, that sounds perfect. So I went. Again, I knew I wanted to do a class with Anna, which was at 5:15 in the morning. I am not a morning person. I think I still went to bed at midnight, and I was like, oh my gosh, I have to be up in 4 hours for this class. Went, and it was by far the best thing I've ever experienced in my life. Like, it was, like, you can't even think about how much pain you're in because riding this bike, but because Anna is just up there and all the other women that were there were just so uplifting and encouraging to just keep going and push through whatever pain you're in that moment. Yeah, it's just like unreal. Like, so that's something that I like praise you for because it is so welcoming. Again, that was my first time being there and everyone was welcoming. They asked me my name, they introduced themselves. And then even after the class, it was 6:15 in the morning and we're walking around the boutique shop buying things. Like, it's just such a family aspect and a community aspect that you truly can pride yourself on because it's awesome.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate that. And I feel like that is what we want everyone to experience. We don't really care if you are coming to shop. We just want to talk to you. We just want to say hi. We want to know how your day is. And we have some people that do that. And it just brings so much joy to our community and our life. And really the mission that we live by is we just want to spread love and we want everyone to know that they have that magic inside. We want everyone to walk through our doors and leave with a different beat of their like walking out. We want them to be like, man, this feels really good and I feel really connected and I love my body. And that's really, and we want them to go and like bring that energy to their life, like to their workspace, to their family. And that's really whether you're in the dressing room or whether you're taking a class in the fitness center, that's really what we want. And we want that on our website too. And we want our marketing to relay that as well. We want it to be bright colors and we want you to feel bold and confident when you just see our brand. We want you to have that, like the mouse pops up and you're just like, ooh, this feels good. This feels different. I am happy.
As someone who gets your ads, since we target like women up in the North Liberty area, I get them and I see them and I think every single time I click on it and it takes me to the website and I'm like, oh, I got to go in and get that. Like, it's something that I'm intrigued by.
Oh, that is wonderful.
We definitely have a little bit of a different marketing tactic on our stuff. Our branding has came to this like not smiling type deal that everybody messages us about it. You will not see a Cycle of Heart ad without everybody smiling.
We're never serious. Yeah, we just feel like the serious stuff is for,
That's left for us.
That's right. You guys are definitely have that nailed for sure.
Yep. Lauren definitely struggles a little bit with the serious side on the photos.
Slowly working
It's
with
a
it.
little
Slowly
hard.
working with it.
Yeah. When you wanted to get into the fitness space and pursue Cycle of Heart, what was that driving factor to make it a spin studio? What drove you to
great question.
that line of fitness?
So I had been an avid cyclist for 8 years prior to opening up the studio. So in my corporate career, I was really fortunate that I traveled around everywhere. And everywhere I would go, I would find a spin studio. I would drag my group of friends with me. They hated me for it. They would kick and scream, but we went. And it was such a blessing. But I really found this sense of healing on the bike. I feel my strongest when I am on that bike. And it's just kind of a weird, amazing relationship. You get on the bike and you kind of feel buttoned up with your feelings. And then all of a sudden, like a word or a verse of a song and mixed with the amount of resistance that is on that wheel. And you doubt yourself. You're like, I can't do this. It's too difficult. And you'll hear your heart is open, your soul is open, and you're just all of a sudden like you're awakened. And then you're like, I can do this. I'm going to power through. And I really do feel like the energy that you put into the pedals does this weird thing that it recycles and it comes into your spirit and your soul, and it energizes you to do more and to want more. So we really use the studio, no mirrors, no metrics. We use no overhead lighting. We use Himalayan sea salt lamps that are only around the coach. And I think in that kind of environment, without a cell phone, without likes, without emails, without your kids or your husband chattering in your ear, you like wake up the warrior. And I feel like that is what our community needs. We need the warrior woke up. We need the warrior to fight, to show up, to continue to be our best self every single day. So for me, that's on the bike.
Yeah. And that's with that. I was listening to a deal, I think yesterday, that Ed Milet was talking about, that his first thing in the morning is he conquers his biggest monsters every morning.
Yeah.
And he goes, when you conquer that first thing in the morning, he goes, everything else becomes easy.
Absolutely.
There's a lot more to that saying that he did. That just kind of summed it up to a very small part. But he talks about that the thing he wants to do the least is the first thing he does in the morning. That call that he doesn't want to make, he makes first thing. And he goes, when he does that, it makes everything else seem so easy. And that's
100%.
You being at the spin studio at 5:15 in the morning, which you get there at like 4:30.
I wake up at 3:15.
Yeah.
So when I coach, and for it, I love that you said that, because that's really how I start my whole entire day. So, 3:15, I'm up, coffee in hand, and I'm sitting there because my rides are my own personal journals. So what is ever on my heart that week, that day, that is what we ride for. And it's a cathartic experience for me, but I love to hear people like Lauren saying that she experienced the same for her. So, and I agree. I think every day we wake up with fear, and it is the first thing we're greeted with. And if we don't put it in its place, then it conquers our day.
Yeah.
So I think that's really valid.
And I think that comes to the fitness space as a whole.
Yeah.
That we were talking about, I talked about it this last weekend, that I went to the gym Saturday morning, and I'm going to the gym at 8:00 on a Saturday morning, and there is a line out the McDonald's drive-thru.
Yeah.
Like out the drive-thru into the street. 2 lanes, every bit of 40, 50 cars. I get to the gym and there's one other car in the parking lot and myself. But everybody has an excuse for something. And it's the people that get up in the morning and they go make it happen. You are conquering that fear first thing in the morning. And I think you relay that on to so many people that are there with you in the morning, that their day becomes easy.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing that's thrown at them after that point is hard. They already conquered the hardest part of their day. That's the workout.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we really believe what happens in that studio isn't the hard stuff. The hard stuff is when you get to your car and
it seems
do all that
easy
stuff.
now. It does seem easy now.
Well, we talked about the first thing Tuesday. I wake up in the morning. We go to the gym around 6:30. I shoot Dane a text. I'm like, I ain't going to the gym. He's like, what? He's like, and he sends me a GIF. He's like, you need to go to the gym. I'm like, I roll back over. I'm like, no. And I lay there for probably 10, 15 minutes. I'm like, my mind's already going. I'm already thinking about my day. I'm thinking what I need to do, all this. And when you go to the gym or when you're working out or spinning, that's your free time.
Yeah.
You get that 30 minutes to an hour where, like you said earlier, you don't have to think about anything.
Mm-hmm.
You think about yourself and you focus on your inner person.
Yes.
So in that instance, I'm like, I need that for my day to move forward. So I text him back. I'm like, I'm just kidding. I'm coming to the gym.
I was
I'm like,
debating
I'll
on
be 15
going back
minutes
to
late.
bed when he said he wasn't coming.
Love that.
So, on Cycle of Heart and what it has became, you've talked about every small business owner, and that's what the podcast is going to lead into, a lot of that stuff down the road of what small business owners have overcame. We started off with Moss Marketing Group. We led into it with Tyler that came from a corporate space, things like that. You're the first small business owner that we have had here that has overcame a lot of huge obstacles, that has pivoted to make things work. And I think that's very inspiring to a lot of people that are listening, that there's people everywhere that own businesses that are trying to make something happen. And what are some of those challenges that you've overcome, and what have those looked like to you?
Well,
Loaded question.
yeah.
There's a lot there.
And we've also, I like to think of this sweet little business like the little engine that could. We opened up in October 2019, closed 5 months later, but we did not lose one single member during the pandemic. And I think for being the owner of this business and focusing so much on community, you don't really know what a community looks like until you need them. And I remember closing the door.
That's gave me goosebumps.
I remember closing the door and locking it, when I knew we weren't going to reopen because of the pandemic. And I cried all the way home. And my amazing husband was there, and we had like a 10-minute where I just like had to come apart. And then like legit, it was like this cathartic experience where it was like, okay, it's go time. Like, we're going to make this happen. That was on a Thursday. Friday, we worked on a virtual platform. We didn't have anything built. We rented out the bikes. We were delivering bikes. I was lifting these like 200-pound bikes. I don't know where this strength came from.
They were in my house. There was one of them in my house.
But it was just bananas. And our members all rented the bikes. We had classes on that Saturday, and that it was just insane. But the level of not feeling like I was alone. I never was abandoned the whole entire time. And then we really saw this need for, like, a lot of people didn't have cute athleisure wear from their home. So we started doing these like really cute boxes, and I would pick out outfits and I would go drop them off on people's porches. And I had girlfriends ordering them for other girlfriends. I had girlfriends like, oh, go send my friend a candle. And I would go do that. And then just by marketing and word of mouth, I had this whole other business in this pipeline of, financial abundance that just came right to me, which was so amazing. So I was, coaching 5 classes a week. We were doing like cardio dance classes for our members who didn't rent bikes. We were grabbing like canned goods from our pantries and like teaching people like how to do arm movements. Like it was nuts. We would meet twice a day on Zoom. And we would have like a get the wiggles out, because all of us were home with our kids. And I all of a sudden not only was an entrepreneur, had a small business, and now I'm teaching my child how to do math. Like it was just crazy. So we were trying to really just listen to the needs of the community and find different ways to make people feel like we were connected. But you don't open up a small business or a business just in general and not back, like, that you're going to have challenges. And for us at Cycle of Heart, we really feel like the pandemic was like an incubator for our business. So we really were able to develop this like beautiful foundation of people who have our back, people, and it's like, I need this. And then like someone in the community is like, I have a guy for that, or I can do that. Like it was just amazing. We were still able to fundraise during the pandemic. We were able to donate money to organizations. I mean, it was just so beautiful, the things that we were able to do in one of the most challenging climates ever.
I feel like when that happened, so many people were sitting still. And every single day I'd see Anna go zipping by down the road and she was going to do something. And it was delivering bikes. It was taking these packages everywhere. And it was just something that I respect, that as an entrepreneur, watching someone that just makes it happen.
Well,
That
thank you.
There's a lot of people out there that just laid down at that time that, you know what, life dealt me a bad hand. I'm not doing anything about it. But that same hand was dealt to everyone.
Yeah, going into 5 months in, and you're like, pandemic, everyone's like, someone upstairs is telling me I shouldn't be doing this.
Yeah.
And you're like,
you know what? There's a different way to do it.
Yep.
There's a better way to do
Challenge
it.
accepted.
Yeah.
Well, I will tell you, during that, complete ugly cry come apart that I had, I wrote on a Post-it note, the only way out is through. And I looked at that every single morning. But I will tell you that lesson I learned on the bike. So, and that is, just like a motto, like it might be really difficult and it might be really hard, but like you can do it. So
that's definitely a huge deal on overcoming those challenges and all that stuff. And I think a lot of times people focus on maybe the bad things that they've overcame in business and the negatives of business. But what are your best experiences in Cycle Hard? I think that there's so many people focus on the negatives, and growth is always coming with the positives. And I'm a firm believer with everyone within Moss Marketing Group, don't ever look at the bad side of anything.
Mm.
That puts you, if that puts you 2 weeks behind, we can go 10 weeks ahead in one day.
Absolutely.
And that's where it's always looking at that best part of everything and pushing forward on those best positive experiences. And I know we could probably have a 4-hour podcast on the great experiences of Cycle Heart.
we just got to walk into Cycle Heart. You're having a bad day. Go change your morale.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Turn the day around.
Just come and say hi to us. I think, wow. So again, it goes back to the community. Like we are getting ready to have this milestone mania on Saturday, and we are celebrating everybody who has accomplished a milestone. And it's really like a customer appreciation. I can get really weepy even thinking about it, but we have some members who have rode or worked out with us, whether in person or virtual or back in person or outside, because we also rented that like plot of land outside of our space, but almost 500 times. And we're going to celebrate.
It's a big number.
I know.
Wasn't expecting that one.
It really is. So I think like for me, that is just like the ultimate appreciation. And it doesn't matter if you're celebrating 1 or 5 or 500. Like the fact that you got out of your comfort zone, you did something new, you met new friends, you connected. And it also goes back to like you believed in the brand, right? Which we were so new. Like I even feel like foolish sometimes saying brand because we're so new, you know. But that to me is like the ultimate gift, is that we have had the ability as my coaches, my staff, and the community to pour into people almost 500 times is like liquid magic. Like that's confetti. That gets me out of bed every single day. And I can't wait to celebrate more of those mega milestones.
And then onto the brand side, which it's something that's going to be spoke about more with small business owners and establishing that brand. And we talked about it earlier about how it's just that smile, that it factor of joy that is pushed through your brand all the time. The bright colors. I think a lot of business owners don't understand branding and the importance of branding and what that brings, and that I don't even know really how to phrase it on.
It's more so the backing of the brand, kind of like where your brand is. It's a happy following, just like that. And when someone sees
it's
that
your
pillar,
It's a culture. It's a culture.
It's something that when if you walk into Cycle Heart, that you could see someone on the street wearing something from Cycle Heart, and you know they got it from Cycle Heart. It's just like one of those things that people build brands that, like when you see someone wearing Lululemon, you know it's Lululemon. When you see post, we try to make it that we have a lot of posts that get built, and I'm like, that doesn't really fit our look of what we are. And same thing with Anna with doing her marketing. We send her stuff that she's like, that's not my look. So there's a lot of back and forth on those things. What would you say to other business owners on trying to understand that brand that they have and how to push that forward?
Yeah, I think that it's your energy. And I also am a big believer of the experience that you want your consumer to feel when they walk in or on your website or, the very first time you're meeting them face to face, however you're interacting with your customer. And for us, it is definitely an energy. It is our culture. We want everyone to be seen. We really feel like it's important to know every customer's name. It's important to know, like, what are we shopping for? What are we celebrating? There's always opportunities to pop the bottles of champagne and freaking
like
celebrate.
on M3 podcast.
But I just think that for us, it's like, it's our heartbeat. And we want every customer, like even when they shut their door on their car, we want them to already feel that anticipation of what is going to meet them at the door. And it's like, oh my gosh, we're so glad you're here. Like, let's celebrate. Like that's really what we're about. So I guess my advice to anyone starting a business would be that you really have to identify that experience. Like, what does it look like? How do you want it to smell? How do you want it to feel? I really believe that, like, you want your experience at Cycle of Heart to be like their home. Like, we actually don't want them to want to leave. Like, we want them to be like, oh my gosh, I'm at my best friend's house. I feel really comfortable. I feel really at home. I feel catered to. I feel special. And then we want them, like, when they do leave, we want them to be like, man, that was so fun. When do I get to go back? And I think that as a small business, that's what you have to feel like you are creating. And what does that look like for you? And tailor that to your business.
100%.
You left him speechless.
I know.
Cheers to that.
I started thinking about when she was talking about when people go back out to their car, which I see photos all the time on Instagram about people when they leave Cycle Heart, which is something that rolls right back around into the branding side about that energy. That I'm not surprised when I get on Instagram every day and I see somebody takes a picture of a note that's on the side of their vehicle when they got done at Cycle of Heart about positive affirmation for the day.
Yes.
And it's just like something that small that I think so many business owners overlook is the small things that make the biggest difference.
Yes.
That's huge. That speaks miles and it's by itself.
Well, again, I think it goes to like how I try to live my life. And there's a quote by Mother Teresa. I'm sure I'm going to like not get it right, but it's basically like how no one leaves you without feeling happier. And that is really something I try to live my life by. I know I'm human and there are multiple times that I do not hit that bar, but I do really try for people when they leave to have that like hidden expectancy, because you feel good and then you're like, oh, I got to go to my car and my phone's in there. And then I've got to go to the grocery store and then I've got to go to Sam's and then I got to get gas. It's just that one little thing that we can do to tell them that they're awesome. So that's really what we try to do.
That 100% does that little extra step. I will say that to every business owner out there. take that little bit, that little extra step, whatever you think that little extra thing is, will always speak 10 times more volume.
Absolutely. And I think it's kind of like a sandwich of your experience, right? Like it's like the initial greet. It's like what happens inside, right? We want that to be like delicious and fabulous. And then it's just that one little thing on the end.
That's just that like extra bit. That's like if you go to a restaurant, they're like, "Do you want pepper?" I'm like, "Yeah, I would love pepper. I would love it." But it's like
how much cheese can I get on my chicken parm?
Yeah. But that makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
And
well, it's that lasting impact, you know, and for me, it's like sealing the deal with their heart. And that's really, you know, we have a heart in the middle of our logo. I mean, that's really what it is about. So that's, you know, back to your question, that's what I would say to a brand is to really make it this like start, middle, and end experience and make your brand be worth being remarkable about. Like, I think that that's also our commitment too, is like, we want to be a brand that is worthy of them telling other people about. And so if we deliver that with our experiences, then I feel like, you know, we're worthy.
I think a lot of what you have done too, that I don't know if I recognize it, if a lot of people recognize it, your growth explains it by itself, but doing something different.
Yeah.
And so many business owners want to go out and do the exact same thing someone else did. Like, I'm just going to go do this again.
Mm-hmm.
And they're just knocking people off.
Sure.
And I don't agree with that. I am the first person that I'm like, I want to be as different as everyone as I possibly can. Good, bad, and different, whatever it is, I'm going to be different. Whatever it's going to, we're going to be remembered somehow. And it's
mugging faces.
The straight faces.
Yeah.
It makes us different. But most marketing companies don't have any photos of any human being that works for them.
Sure.
That is one of our poster things that so many people call us. Like, are the people in the photos the people I'm going to be working with? I'm like, yeah, 100%. I'm like,
and they're all amazing and all my favorite. Yes.
We paid her to say that.
It's very true, though.
It's called paid advertising.
No, but we want to be different. We don't want to be like every other marketing company. I think so many businesses go into any space and they get stagnant and they're like, I don't know why. You're doing the exact same thing that this person is doing. And they saw a lot of success. So 8 other people tried to do the same thing and now there's 9 of them, but there's one original that's doing really well and 8 of these people that are struggling. And there's not another spin studio in the Northland that I know of. And you came in with something that was so different. And when we first met and you're like, opening up this spin studio and doing all this stuff, I'm like, okay. Like, I didn't, and that's the thing is when you're doing something so different, nobody's going to understand what you're doing.
Yeah, they still don't. We're still this mysterious thing.
You're the only one that knows that path. And it's like you have that path and everyone else is like, where is she going?
Yeah.
And it's like, it keeps going up. I don't know where it's going, but it's because you're not knocking something off.
Yes, but I'm going to say 2 things to that. So the first thing I think is really important to remember is like the gift that the universe has given to you is different than what's around you. And so even though like at a blind's eye, it might look similar, it's very different because your beautiful soul and your creativity is what makes it different and unique. So that would be, I guess, the first thing that I would say is that you've got to lean in to like your special sauce. Like, and even though it might look like someone else from the outside, you've got to really transform it and like give it its own zhuzh and its own like energy.
Zhuzh. I want to make sure we get that as like a word. Zhuzh. I want a definition for zhuzh.
But, you know, like I think that is part of like the ability to go for it, right? Is that because you could use fear in your mind, like, oh my gosh, everyone else is doing this. This is cookie cutter of them. No, you are the one that makes it unique and different. And that experience can be different. Your love, your heart is different. And the other thing that I would say to that is like, I come from this whole other like different mold, which I believe like we can root for each other and love each other And I don't like, it's not about outshining anyone. There is enough shine and enough magic. And I mean, anyone I hope that comes in contact with me is like, oh my gosh, Anna's like the psycho who has like confetti shooters, but just like has confetti shooters in her pocket at all time to root and like love on you, because it is so challenging just to even start your own thing, like to do your own business. And we need more encouragers of life than anything.
And there's so many people out there that there's a lot more people rooting for you not to make it than there are for you to make it.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
And it's when you go out and you make that step, it's you don't have all you're gonna have the support of your family, friends, things like that. But everyone from the outside is just watching to see when you fall. And that's the sad thing about today's world, is what people don't understand is everyone thinks it's a competition against one another. And there's plenty of it to go around.
Plenty. And I don't shine any brighter by like dimming your light. And so that is just one thing that I really feel like is important, is that like we need to work together. We need to network. We need to love on each other. We need to tell you about like, I'm struggling in this area. Like, oh, maybe someone else can help me make a great decision, whether it's like who my website host is, what my POS system is, like, you know, any of that information. So I agree. And I also just think that like, I want to be the person that like starts that. Like, I want to be the person that's like, cheers to you. You are rocking out, living your best life. Like I'm on fire for you. Like, so I don't know, maybe there's like something brewing there. I'm going to start my own, like, you know, networking thing. But,
well, I think it was Elon Musk touching on that. He's like, when someone's having a baby, they have a baby shower.
Yes.
And
yes.
he's like,
We haven't had to have those yet, so we don't know.
Yeah, not there yet. But he's like, why don't we do that for when one of our friends start a business?
Absolutely.
So he's like, everyone comes in and everyone brings like, hey man, I see you're doing good. I use this company, this company, this company. Feel free to reach out.
I love it. Yes.
I don't know why no one does that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that is so valid and so important. Like, because again, I don't want to be by myself. I would rather take my skill set, which is not that vast. And if I can tap into someone else's skill set and we can do it together and shine together, like I'm all in. Sign me up for that.
I filled a full room of people that are a lot smarter than me. Somehow I've done it. And hopefully here in like 5-10 years or even now, people are like, wow, Dane's just really good at hiring people. That's all I want to be remembered for, is like, hey, wow, he's really good at finding the right people. I don't need the credit. And that's where I think so many business owners lose sight of that too.
Absolutely. I think it's the ego, right?
I think there's an ego out there, but it's, look at the most successful people out there. They don't have those egos like,
no.
Like some, once again, it's like, I don't even know how to put it into words. Tends to happen on the podcast, but it's, you want to say something, and
people are listening to your words.
People are listening to my words. And I think that ego gets in the way.
Yes.
And it's sometimes like, it's okay someone else being way better at something than you.
Absolutely.
You want those people around you.
Absolutely.
When you start surrounding yourself with those people, it's crazy what starts happening when you start bringing, if you surround yourself with 6 people that are 10 times better than you at 10 different things.
Yes.
Granted, it would be 6 different things, but all of a sudden, crazy things happen.
Yeah. Well, I think it's this. So I think we live in a society that like wants us to suppress our creativity. So I think when you're around other people who are big thinkers and big dreamers and like nothing is too big, then what it does is it pours into your soul. Like then you're like, okay, I can do this. I can do that. That makes sense. This is a good like avenue for me to like see if this is going to make sense. But yes, you have to be around big thinkers, and sometimes it's bigger thinkers than you are. But it's a beautiful thing. And I think that not having a bitter heart and being able to like see that it's not like rooted in jealousy. It's rooted in like, let's go after this and let's have so much fun and like just blaze the trail. Like, and I'm here for that kind of energy.
Yeah. And I enjoy watching other people's success more. And I think that's what has brought our company a lot of success. And it's the same thing with yours. And it's in a completely different way. But you watch people's success in fitness and them growing themselves as a person, coming to bike every morning, making their whole life better.
Mm-hmm.
And we watch it as business owners of what we can bring to them. That's the most joy I get out of our job, is when I go meet with someone and they're like, hey, we're opening a second location. Hey, we're doing this because we've grown so much. That's majority of the conversations that we go have.
That's why we enjoy answering our phone now, rather than before. It's like you're getting a phone call going,
Oh my God.
But now it's like, hey, I'm just calling. What are you doing? You want to grab lunch? I'm like, I would love to grab lunch.
Yeah.
I'm like, where you want to meet? I can meet you at 1. It makes you feel good.
Absolutely.
It's because we hang out with Anna.
Yeah. Got friends. All kinds of positivity. Into that, you come from a corporate space.
I do.
I wouldn't say we come from a corporate space. So
We do not. We do not.
Lauren, I don't think so really either. But
Well, I left the nursing field.
yeah, she
Okay.
was
Okay.
in the nursing field.
She has had a lot of jobs.
Yes, I
She's
have.
probably, her and Logan are probably the most well versed in the squadron of people. But you coming from the corporate space over to Cycle of Heart, that's a big transition that I think a lot of people fear.
Yes.
And we were just talking about it yesterday on who did that? Who had the quote yesterday on the shitty house and the shitty job? Bradley.
Yep.
Okay.
Bradley had a quote that he's like, you hate your shitty job, you hate your shitty pay and all these things, but you go home to your shitty house, but you won't leave your shitty job. So it's just like a big list of stuff.
Yes.
And it's sometimes people are scared to take that step.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know the percentage of the people that take this step, but you are among a very small percent. And what does that look like? And what finally triggered that to where like, you know what, I'm doing it?
Well, I sat in limbo for a really long time, like half in, half out. And that is not a place that Anna thrives. I am like an all or nothing type of gal. So I think for me, the biggest thing, it's again, it goes back to fear. It goes back to like, I have a purpose and I am like, and when I was in between, I knew where the light and God was pulling me, which was like in this beautiful, like confetti shooter world called Cycle of Heart. But I had been in this corporate grind for 15 years. And so it was kind of pulling that ripcord officially into the path of like big, bold faith, right? And I think when you do that and you actually have the guts to pull it and you don't know where the next step is going to come, you don't know where the next paycheck is going to come, but I think the universe really pours into you. And I think it responds. And I would just tell anybody who's sitting in that space of unknown that once you fully commit and you take your foot off the dock and you jump into the boat, and it might be like a kayak or like a paddle boat, but once you fully let go of that foot, it is so beautiful. And I think that's where real life happens. Real life happens not being tethered to a safety net, not being tethered to someone else's dream. You're in it.
It makes you feel alive.
It does.
You've
does.
never felt so alive until, and that's why I try to bring it to the whole entire company, that I'm not heading in a direction by myself.
Yes.
There's a whole group of us going there. That boat, that kayak that we got in, there's like 7 of us on this itty bitty kayak trying not to sink. But it's that boat. There's so many people that take it there and they end up on that boat by themselves.
Yes.
And that's like the last thing I ever want to happen is I do not want to make it to the top and be there by myself.
We've seen more people make it to that point by themselves, and I don't think that's.
We've seen those people, and there's no more happiness up there than where we're at right now.
Mm.
We are 10 times happier right here where we're at than that person is.
Yeah.
I remember the day, Anna. I remember the day you left your company.
Do you?
We were all hanging out, and we're all sitting there talking. And I'm like, Anna's like, I feel like over the top today. I'm like,
that's saying something.
And she's
too.
usually pretty hyper, and I'm like, what's going on? You're like, I left my job. I'm like, what do you mean you left your job? You're like, I'm going full speed at Cycle Heart. I'm like, that's awesome. She's like, it is awesome, isn't it?
Yeah, I think you have this like moment, and then you have this moment of panic where you're like, oh my gosh, what did I just do? But I'm also getting like to re-know myself, which is like this pretty thing too. I'm getting to know myself in this space without like all the, the commitments, the conference calls, the stuff that becomes like second nature to you, but doesn't really move your own personal like faith needle. And I'm in the area now where I'm just so open and all these beautiful things are coming to me. And I'm very into the brand, into the community, and I'm just very, very excited. And I have a big thing that's like, if it's meant for you, it'll come. Like there's no need to manipulate or control. And that's kind of like where I'm at. And it's so beautiful. So just circling back around, if there's anybody who is on the fence, 1 foot in, 1 foot out, I would just tell you, like, it is so worthwhile having both feet in to your dream. Both feet into your dream is like where the magic is.
You step 2 feet fully into your dream and you go after it. And you are among few people that understand, from coming from a corporate space, that marketing plays a huge factor into that.
Yes.
And we talked about it earlier today about how many people open businesses doing absolutely nothing and just waiting for something to happen.
Yeah.
And I mean, I could talk to people till I'm blue in the face about this, about just waiting and waiting and waiting. And Lauren's one of the few masterminds. I'm not going to say I'm the mastermind behind the Cycle of Heart marketing. There is other people and Lauren that work on that all the time. What have you seen in the marketing side that has grown Cycle Heart so much? And your growth speed surpasses most everything around. But what would you say that factor plays into that?
So I'm going to say, when you build a business and you build a small business, it's just like this beautiful, like old classic car. Okay. And I can build it and I can shine those wheels and I could like, like on the beautiful hood ornament. But without MMG, there's no engine in my business. And I, as a small business owner, can only facilitate so much. So you guys are a huge lifeline to my business. And I would say, I'm not being paid to say this. This is purely facts. Every single person on MMG is like a family member to me. I get like the biggest welcome. It almost feels like it's like a family reunion. And it's just like the utmost care for the engine of my business. So, not only like is it clean and is it beautiful? It also, like, every time I pop the hood, it like is like a party and there's like celebration and
under the hood party
and fun. But in all honesty, I mean, it is like the ticker of our business. So like I said, we can build the brand all we want, but if we don't have the fuel, if we don't have the ability to, generate leads, if we're not sponsoring ads, if we are not feeding this like beautiful thing that we have going, then our car is just a waste. And I just think it's so silly not to have it, because if I didn't have the relationship with MMG and everything you guys pour into my business, we would not be a fraction of what we are today.
And it's, I mean, I look back on it. We've been working with you for a while, quite a while, but you were the first step outside the car business I took.
I was going to say that. I'm like, I'm pretty sure that was the first one.
I stayed very much in my comfort zone, and Cycle Heart was probably the most out of my comfort zone I had went.
Yes.
And it was probably the farthest thing from the car business I could go. And people were like, still today, I'm like, yeah, we work with a spin studio in Liberty. They're like, what? And it was just something that when I spoke to you, that it wasn't, when I took that step, it wasn't so much of Cycle Heart or any of that stuff that I believed in. I believed in Anna Alessi, of what Anna Alessi could do, that I was like, I know that we can bring new clientele there. I know any human being that walks into that place, and we talk about this a lot with a lot of business owners, that our goal is to bring new clientele there. What they do with that clientele after is on them. We can't be there in person to sell them, to do all these things. Any human being that walks into Cycle Heart, trust me, they're coming back. Like,
Yes.
Anna, retention of clientele is phenomenal.
When you look at statistics, it's way up there.
Yeah, but we have accounts that are like, hey, well, our retention rate isn't great, things like that. We're getting them the clientele.
Sure.
If they don't know how to deal with that clientele, and not everybody's like you, that when they come in there, they have that energy, they have that charismatic it factor that everybody's like just grows to.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those deals that, I mean, Dre's just killing bush lights over like it's his job. But I don't know, that I feel like that's a huge factor on it too, that
Sure.
you gain that.
Well, thank you.
That person that comes in there and then they continue to come back. And our job is to make sure that new people are coming in there all the time.
And you guys are doing a phenomenal job.
We try.
You're doing a great
Lauren
job.
and the crew, they're the ones that do it. I'm not taking credit for that.
I'm not taking credit for this one either. I'm going to say that's the rest of everyone else.
So with Cycle of Heart and everything you've done today, we're going to come in with this at the end of every podcast. What does 5 years from now look like? And I feel like that is going to be the most loaded question that we come with in every single podcast. That is so far away that if somebody came to me with that question, I don't think I answered it on the first podcast. But
Well,
where
I
do you
just-
see Cycle Heart 5
Even
years?
with like the delivery of that question, like my insides and my gut gets so excited because I just can't, in 5 years from now, like I can't even picture where I'm currently at. So the growth and like the love and the community that we are going to serve in 5 years is going to be so abundant and so beautiful. It just makes my heart want to explode. And that's the goal. The goal is like more locations. The goal is like, we already have this mobile presence. So this goal is like, how do we get this out to more people and like retreats and corporate events? And how do we pour into organizations to give them this energy and this light, and for them to wake up the warrior, like for them to find the magic inside themselves to go out and be the best person they could be every single day. So that's the goal. The goal is like, I currently have been writing in my journal since December 15th. Nothing is too big. And I'm actually contemplating getting it as maybe a tattoo because nothing is too big for this dream. Like I feel it. And again, I think it goes back to like once you take the foot off the dock or the bay and you jump in, it's like sky's the limit, baby.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I want to be this like global brand. So I don't know if that's going to happen in 5 years, 10 years.
It'll probably happen in 3. But I'm going to say just go for it. If you're going to do a tattoo, you're going to do whatever, go for it. Life is so short.
It
Put both
is.
feet in. Put both feet
Yeah,
in.
you talk about going both feet, just do it.
I know.
And
But that gets me so excited. And I think that it's just like, it's just bringing people to that magic inside that is like, just keeps me going. And again, it's because it is cycle of heart. It is my heart. It is this cycle that I have had been in. And, you know, it's every day. You got to remind yourself to love yourself, to show up, to be a good person, and to serve others. And if I can still be saying that I'm doing that in 5 years from now, I'm freaking winning.
Always be a good person. I feel like that just holds its number one spot.
Yes, it does.
If you do that for everyone that's there, and I think that holds higher than everything else.
Absolutely.
Finally, if you had something to say to small business owners, marketing tips, tricks, things like that, for a small business owner out there to excel in today's world,
Okay.
what would those things be?
So I once had the opportunity to read this book called The Purple Cow. And The Purple Cow talks about, like, if you're driving past a pasture and all of a sudden you look to your right and you saw this like field of brown and black and tan cows. And like all of a sudden you're like, is that a purple cow? And like, you're like scratching your eyes and you're like, oh my gosh, that's a purple cow. And then like you finally get to your destination, and like the first thing you say isn't even like, hi. It's like, do you know, in the field by the truck stop, I saw a purple cow. That is to be a purple cow. You want that type of business model in the world of black and white cows, tote cows, tan cows. You want to be the purple cow. You want to be the something that is so different and so unique and so beautiful that it's worthy of being remarkable about. So that is my advice, is that every day you've got to do something for that customer, that you're not just vanilla.
Yeah.
I want to be swirls and chocolate chip cookie dough and like sprinkles and cherries and whipped cream. Like, why don't we just throw some pineapple in there? That's what I want to be. So that would be my advice, is that, you know, and it's a fight. It's a battle. You've got to grind. You've got to hustle, but it's your dream, and it is worthy of all of those things, to like grind it out, to hustle, and to be remarkable.
And be different. The
Be
purple
different.
cow is different. Dre, Lauren, do you guys have anything to finish off the podcast with?
I think just like going off that last thing you said, the purple cow thing, from being a female who has been in a lot of like boutiques, like clothing stores, gyms, that kind of thing, you're already killing all of those categories, because there's no leadership board in your spin studio. There's no it's no competition besides the inner competition with yourself inside the spin studio. And even in your boutique side, there's no you or any of your front desk staff is no one's trying to get you to spend X amount of money. They're like some clothing stores you go in, they're throwing all these things at you because they get commission and they want you to buy all of it.
Yes.
You don't care if someone comes in just to have an afternoon conversation. Like there's just so many things that are already different. So I can say, like, you are definitely that purple cow for sure.
Well, thank you. One thing I just want to throw in there real quick is that we really believe that it's not you against you, it's you for you.
Yeah.
And that is really, you know, what we try to really talk about too. So I love that you felt that. That means like so much to me. Cue heart explosion. Confetti.
Dre, do you have anything?
I was just going to say the positivity you have in your business, I think, will speak for itself. With everyone that goes in there, even me being a male going into there, it's not catered to me, but I go in and I'm like,
It's going to be. It's coming.
I'm waiting for it. I need more Travis Matthews golf gear.
Yes.
It's coming. I promise.
But just going in there, it's the vibe. I'm sitting there. I'm like, even if I'm having a day where I'm like out on the road all day, I'm like, I just want to relax. Go in there. I'm like, come back out. I'm like, I feel like I just had a shot of espresso. I'm like, I'm ready to go.
I just left a coffee shop that wasn't a coffee shop.
No, but just the vibe in there, I think when you're growing and you're opening new spaces, if you just keep that vibe in every space and with what you've done, I think the world is a limit.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Means so much. So you guys
So-
are awesome. Thank you. Cheers.
was-
Cheers
Cheers.
to MMG.
Cheers to the M3 podcast, Cycle of Heart, Moss Marketing Group. And thank you for everyone joining today. Key Ricky.
Thanks for listening to the M3 Podcast. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. Want to learn more? Check us out on Instagram at Moss Marketing Group, on Facebook at Moss Marketing 58, or on our website at mossmarketinggroup.com.